Today I'll be working on a 2014 GMC Acadia.
The truth.
Alright, so we're going to be changing out the Serpentine belt on the Acadia. This is the part number right here. And I think this one from Advanced Auto Parts. So if you need to reference it, that's the number you'd give them. But any other place should be able to cross-reference that number as well. So the very first thing we're going to want to do is set the parking brake. Because we're going to be lifting up the front of the car, we don't want it to roll anywhere once these front wheels are off the ground. Now we're going to be taking off the front passenger side wheel, so let's go ahead and get this side jacked up in the air. Next, I'm just going to secure the car with a jack stand, just to make sure it doesn't go anywhere while I'm working on it. Now I'm going to leave the jack in place too, just as an extra point of stabilization while I'm working. But now let's go ahead and get this wheel off. I'm just going to put my lug nuts back on here just so I don't lose them. There is a series of these Torx bolts we're going to be taking out. They're all T20 and there are a couple underneath here. So let's go take them out really quick. Next, underneath here, we got these two little plastic clips. Let's see if I can get it to focus real quick. Got these two little plastic clips right here. We're going to be popping out because we're going to be taking out this whole wheel well panel right here. So I'm going to be using a body panel tool to just kind of pop them out. So next, we got a bunch more of these body panel pins all over the underside here. We're going to be popping all those out to get this wheel well out of here. Now I counted 6 of them total. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and one up top, 6. So now all those are out. We should be able to get this up out of the car with a little finesse.
There's a cake.
Just a quick tip, when taking all these bolts out and everything, I like to put them in an old Tupperware container just so it kind of contains them all. Magnetic trays are nice for bolts and nuts, but when it comes to the plastic clips, it doesn't really hold them on a magnetic tray, go figure. So these little Tupperwares work pretty good. And if you still have the lid, you could always seal it up too, and that way if it falls over or something, they don't go everywhere. But yeah, just a tip for you. Alright, now we finally got access to where our drive belt is at. So now there is a tensioner pulley right here, and it's got a 1/2 inch drive square from like a 1/2 inch ratchet we're going to be using. We're going to be turning it clockwise, so pretty much that way. But before we do that, we're going to draw out how our belt is routed and go from there. But you can definitely see on this belt, let me zoom in a little bit, you can see all the cracks in that belt, and it definitely needs to be replaced. Now, it's always good to replace it before it breaks, because if it breaks and you're trying to drive, it's going to be a bad day. So, always try and catch these things beforehand. Now, per usual, I've drawn it out on a piece of cardboard here. We got our crank pulley, we got our AC pulley, idler pulley, alternator, tensioner pulley, our power steering. Oh, so my cardboard tries to fall on me. Our power steering, and then it's got this other pulley over here. But this is how our belt is routed. So we're going to be making sure we get the new one in the same way. Alright, so now we're going to be taking our 1/2 inch ratchet, put it on that tensioner, we're going to be turning it this way. Now I prefer to use a ratchet over a breaker bar, just because I can get this to exactly where I want it, and then give me more leverage, where if a breaker bar, it settles right here, you're kind of stuck. And once you start applying pressure, this belt's going to go ahead and loosen up. Just start working off at least one of the pulleys, and then you can work it off the rest from there as you relax this. Alright, now when it comes to getting it off the tensioner, you gotta kind of turn the belt sideways and just kind of work it around the backside here. Maybe if I can get mine to turn. Now it's always good practice to measure up the new belt to the old belt, just to make sure it's the same length or pretty darn close. Your old belt might be a little bit longer just because it's been stretching over time. But when you look at the condition of these things, you can see the cracking of the old belt. If it'll focus. See the cracking on the old belt. So definitely needs to be replaced with our new belt. So let's get it on there. And just like how we got the old one out, we're going to put the new one back in the same way. We're going to get it up around that tensioner. Kind of turn it, instead of the belt facing this way, we're going to turn it sideways, slip it up behind there, and then turn it back the way it should. Now that it's around the tensioner, we're going to start routing around all the other ones, referencing back to our diagram we drew earlier. Alright, I've got everything routed back up in here, and I made sure it's on all the ribs as well. The only one I don't have it on yet is my crank pulley, because I'm going to be, again, pulling on the pry bar this way, and then it should give me some slack to wrap it around the crank pulley. Just make sure after you get it wrapped around, double check all your other pulleys, and make sure it's still on all the teeth and it's not like halfway off or something. Sorry, I had to get right where the camera was, but I was able to get it up around the crank pulley all the way. I started with getting it around the tensioner pulley and then working around this way, where earlier I was trying to work it from the bottom up to the top. and that was fighting me a bit. But it is on all the other pulleys. I know it's kind of hard to see, but it is on all of them. So let's go ahead and take our ratchet off. Maybe, if I can get it. Might have to get a screwdriver underneath of it and just kind of pop it off. Or, nope, there it goes. I got it in my hand. All right, let's start putting things back together. All right, now that our belt's all the way back on, we're going to be going ahead and putting our wheel well back in there.
It was a cake.
All right, after all the little plastic clips are in, we're gonna go ahead and put our little Torx screws all down the side here. Don't forget there's two more. Oh, if I can see it. Don't forget there's two more up under here. But after you get those, we're gonna put this little flap back on as well with those little plastic clips. Now that that's all back together, we can go ahead and put our wheel back on. Now we're going to go ahead and remove our jack stand and our jack out of here.
It was a cake.
Well, I hope this video helps. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down in the comment section below and I'll try and answer them as soon as I can. If you like the music that was in the background of any of these videos, check out the artist's SoundCloud. I'll put the link in the description.